Does it say exit? Okay, I should be streaming. It worked so smoothly last time. We're to go live. I did that. Start the studio engine. Oh, I forgot. Of course, there's the 20-second delay. That's right. I totally forgot about that part. I needed to wait to see. Damn it. Okay, I may have screwed this one up. That's all right. We can try it again. Hi, everybody. For anybody who's watching me on Facebook, I'm using a new piece of software today. I am actually trying to connect StreamCam with Streamlabs with my new Crowdcast. And so this is my whole thing, and I was like super excited, and I did it, and I got it to work, and then the first time I did it, and now suddenly it's not working. So I don't even actually know if I'm streaming on Facebook. Let's see if I am streaming on Facebook. Let's see what's happening. I feel like weird stuff is... Oh, okay, I have a viewer. Sweet. Okay, I have a viewer, which is good, which means I am streaming on Facebook. So that's winning. I am streaming on Facebook. Yay! At least I have a viewer, so I know that it's working. No, I'm not going to go to the Social Strategy Squad. I'm trying to go to my business page. There we go. Hi, LaFern. Okay, so you're here, dude. I see that you are in here, but I don't see that it's loading on Crowdcast, which is kind of annoying because that's kind of where I want it to be my primary. Like, that's soup's annoying. Soup's annoying. All right, we're going to try it for a few more minutes. So this has been a great day. It's actually been a really, really good day. This is the first thing that's actually gone wrong today, so I'm like, all right, it's fine. I can dig it. Not a big deal. My allergies weren't so bad this morning, so that was fun. Jesus. Okay, I'm going to start. I may have actually broken it by trying to go live once and then, like, undoing it, but let's see. So, it says starting in a moment. But you know what I could do? I could possibly just have it... Yeah, sure, why not? Sure. Absolutely. Let's do it this way. Okay. Fabulous. We're just gonna, you know what? This is amazing. I'm actually just gonna dick around with this because this is super fun. So I'm doing 2 streams. And yes. I wanna do this. Now I'm in the green room. Oh my god, this is so fun. I'm gonna close my closet door though, because people can see my closet, but this is actually kind of fun. So you can actually see what this looks like without the green screen and everything. If you're on Crowdcast, so that's pretty fun. So we'll do that for right now. So we'll have that. I'm in the green room. No one can see me. Okay, so I'm going live. All right, let's go live. Let's do it. Okay, so I am now live on Crowdcast. It tells me to take a deep breath. I'm taking a very deep breath. Okay, I think I took a deep breath. I'm live and recording. Rock on, everybody. Okay, so now I'm live in 2 places using 2 different cameras and 2 different microphones, which is very, very fun and cool. Okay, so I can see myself here on my camera. So anyone who is in Crowdcast, hi, good to see you. I am in Crowdcast right now. And now I'm going to go to Facebook to see myself on Facebook. And there I am on Facebook. Fabulous. This is amazing. I feel very, very happy. Hi, Margie. So good to see you. Hello, Mary Kim. Good to see you. I'm going to pause right. I totally forgot about that part. I needed to wait. Fabulous. Okay. So I am super excited today. Oh my God, this has been such a killer week. I want to give you guys a few updates on like what we've been working on over here at Manessa Inc. So here's what we're doing. So I have gone like full streaming mode. So I am really working on making my business page and my Instagram and the way that I create content for people to be more in like a creator side. So I still have my coaching business. I'm still doing all the coaching, but that is sort of like, this is how I show, this is one of the things that I do. And then coaching is another thing that I do, but it's something that I'm really enjoying. I love the creativity now that I've actually gotten the iPad and I've been playing around with Procreate. It's really helped me to challenge a side of myself. So like for years, I used to tell everyone that I had the soul of an artist with none of the talent. And so that, you know, and honestly, that was kind of depressing, like when you think about it, because for the longest time, like that's what I believed about myself. And when I was younger, I remember them telling me that I did my artwork wrong. Like the way that I painted was wrong, or the things that I did were wrong. Why are people's chats not showing up here? Are the chats showing up? Can somebody chat something? I may just not have seen it. So I just want to make sure that like the chat box thingy is working. Oh, I'm so glad it's been good with notifications. That's fabulous. Well, I hit some technical difficulties with Crowdcast, but no worries. We'll figure this out as we go. I may need to do some more like, just experimentation, not live. I don't know why I always just like to do these things live and be like, all right, we'll just figure it out as we go. I figure people get to see it and they find that exciting. I do anyway. They show quick. That's good. I mean, hey, you know what? If Facebook is working, then Facebook is working. Fab. Hello, Jessica. Good to see you. Good to see you. So, all right. So super exciting. I'm moving a lot more into the creator space. And what's really exciting for members of the squad is that they are seeing different ways that they can make money as well. We actually just had a really great call yesterday where we broke down a couple of people's businesses in terms of like, okay, how would you created like a strategy for, okay, how would you move people through a funnel? What would we have them do? Things like that to sort of like help build out their user journey. So that was really, really fun. So we've been having a lot of fun over the last, I would say month or so at Manessa Inc. and the Social Strategy Squad as we really start to explore these new things, try new ideas and new technologies. So with it, of course, comes a lot of, the comment shows quick. Okay, yeah. I just wanted to make, it's just for some reason I don't even see it. Like it's not even there. But oh well, I'll figure it out later. I totally lost my train of thought. Oh my God, ADHD brain. Who else has ADHD brain? So me. I do think I want this to be just a little bit bigger. I think I may want to do it like this a little bit more. Yeah. I think that makes me a little bit happier. Okay, there we go. Fabulous. Okay. So, right. So today, welcome to the Stop Shitting All Over Yourself podcast today, where we're going to be talking about underestimating your value, which is super, super exciting to me because, well, it's not exciting to me that you actually underestimate your value, but, it is exciting that we're talking about it because I think that once we get through today's podcast, I think you'll have a much stronger understanding about how to determine your prices and what the things are that are holding you back. So what I want to recommend for you is this. Listen through this podcast once, right? And the way that we do it is this is recording live. So I'm just going to, when I'm ready to go live, I'm just going to start. I'm going to clap my hands. I'm going to start going. I'm not going to actually be looking at the screen or the comments at the time. But I want you guys to talk amongst yourselves because the truth is that though I am giving the ideas, it's the conversations that it sparks that are really going to get you going. So really share your thoughts, share your ideas. Keep in mind that you are not whatever it is that you're feeling, whatever it is that you're experiencing, I promise you, you are not the only person to have gone through this. Many, many people have suffered the same way, even though their experiences may be different from yours. The path that they tended to follow in terms of why they don't charge as much and what they may be able to get for their services is very similar. So definitely talk amongst yourselves. And then when it's all over, I'll come back to this screen and then we'll start talking about, I'll go through your questions and comments and we can work through any questions that you have. I believe I don't have a call today after this. Wrong one. I just want to make sure because I don't think I do. I think I scheduled it that way because I knew that there might be some questions. Because there definitely were quite a few last week. So I wanted to make sure that we had a little bit of time for that. Okay. So the other thing I want to recommend is if you have any friends who are business owners who are undercharging, I want to recommend that you share this with them. This is a really big problem, guys, like for all of us. We all know it. We all know that we don't charge enough. We all know that we have trouble with identifying our value and saying what we're worth. This is not a secret. It's just I'm not calling anybody out and that like, oh my God, I'm such a surprise. Like we all know this. And we all wish that there was a way that we could go to the other side of it where we are now confident in our prices. We are able to say what we charge without any sort of anxiety or fear. But there's a journey there, right? There's a journey there. And the podcast series that we're in right now really came about because, I was actually asked to do a talk on it, on charging your worth by, oh my God, the National Organizers Association. I have to look it up. And so I'm doing a talk on charging what you're worth. And as I started to break it down, I realized that it's a bigger problem. And we actually think it's small. Like when we're in the moment, it challenges us and we think it should be easier than it is. And we'll get deeper into that today. All right. So let's see what we got going on here. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's all right if you can't see it right now. Don't worry, we'll figure it out. I'll do this technical stuff later. We'll see the nice cute white box instead anyway. You know what? Would it be funny if I had it hidden? Do I have it hidden? I'm just curious. I just want to make sure. I don't have it hidden. I was like, all right, if I had it hidden, that would be absolutely hysterical. Like, oh my God, it's not showing. I don't understand why. Okay. All right. So we're going to dive right in. Okay, I got my Kleenex because my allergies today are just absolute shit. Oh my God, the allergies. But they're better. They're better today than they were yesterday. Yesterday was like, I couldn't even survive, but we had a brainstorm last night, so I kind of. And FYI, we checked our drainage. We checked our drainage, which is amazing. And it's actually not as bad as we thought. So we're kind of feeling good about that in terms of our retaining wall as well. Okay. Let's get the show on the road, Jack. Alrighty. Okay. Oh, you know what I have today? I have my Maleficent ears, but I forgot them. Okay. Ready, set, go. Hello, hello, and welcome to the Stop Shitting All Over Yourself. Oh, you know what? I actually thought of a name. Pause. Guys, what do you feel about misfits, right? Because I've been thinking to myself a lot that my audience is misfits, right? So what if I'm like, hey, misfits, right? I kind of like that idea a little bit. I was like, I thought that yesterday. I was like, because everybody, like, Will Wheaton starts the Ready Room with, hey, nerds. And I'm like, yes, I'm a nerd. I was like, what are we? Like, what are my people? And I was like, we're misfits. I was like, okay, I can dig that. So we're going to start that way today. Let's do that. Okay, so experimentation time. Let's see how we feel about it. Hey, misfits. My name, misfit business owners. Let's go with that. Hello, misfit business owners. My name is Manessa Konecki. I am the business strategist for misfit entrepreneurs who want to build their businesses their way. Over the last 25 years, I've worked with businesses in crisis to help them get back on track. And there is no crisis like trying to figure something out. Okay, we got to start this again because it's too small. I can't see shit. This is going to be one of those days with recording, isn't it? We're going to have so much fun with the bloopers. By the way, we're going to be moving the live recording of this podcast to Crowdcast behind the after a while, because I want to be able to like control the comments more. So eventually we're going to be moving there, where it's going to be live recorded there, and then we'll actually put the recording up on Facebook, an edited recording for you. But that's going to be coming a little bit later. Okay, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to try this again. I'm just going to do it the natural way, and maybe we'll say it here. Alrighty. Hello, and welcome to the Stop Shitting All Over Yourself podcast. I am Manessa Konecki. I'm the business strategist for misfit entrepreneurs who want to build their businesses their way. Over the last 25 years, I've worked with businesses in crisis to help them get back on track, and I swear to you, there is absolutely no crisis like trying to figure out how to do something your way that hasn't been done that way before. The hardest part for me, though, was letting go of the way that I thought I was supposed to do things and what people told me was appropriate, and trying to figure out what worked for me, what I thought I was right, and what fit with my framework. I wanted to approach business in a new way, so I started this podcast to bring you along the journey of all the things that I stopped shitting myself about along the way, and to invite you on the journey with me, because nobody likes to shit on themselves, really, like nobody does. So you will find at the very end of it that you will have a lot more joy. You'll have a lot more freedom, and you will be making so much more money. Oh my God, so much more money. I swear to you, that's something you'll definitely get. Now, speaking of money, today's topic, continuation from last week, is about charging your worth. And today we're going to be talking about underestimating your value. And that's a good one, because for a lot of us, well, all of us, we do underestimate our value. If you haven't had a chance to listen to last week's podcast, definitely go back and check it out, because we started this conversation last week in part 1 of our Charging Your Worth series. We talked about how hard it is to figure out your worth, like what happens to you when you get ready to charge your worth, why we undercharge, and where these issues came from, like, how we came to this idea. Like we weren't just sprung fully formed from the womb with this idea in our mind. It came from somewhere. So where did they come from? And we dug really deep and went to some really weird places, but in the end, we now know how we got here to this space where we undercharge. So we figured out the history, the journey. Now we're bringing ourselves to the present and saying we know why we struggle with money, but what now? Now, before we move a little bit forward, I just want to pause and tell you about my general life philosophy for how I tend to make changes in my life, in case it helps you. I believe that, one, there is a role for therapy and internal work. It has to be there. It's super important, where you're figuring out things and coming to terms with why, how it happened, the guilt that you deal with, the shame, any of the things that you need to deal with, like psychologically. That's sort of like what you do in therapy. Now, you're going to work through that with your therapist or a coach or some sort of spiritual or holistic work, but you have to do the work that's inside. But there's another step that has to happen at the same time, and that's the doing the thing part. too many of us feel like we're going to wait until we figure out like what number one is. Once I've sorted out number one, then I'm going to be ready to take the steps to do whatever it is that I need to do to move forward. So it's like we're waiting for one to finish so we can do two so that we're ready. But I got to tell you, you will never feel ready. There is no moment in your emotional work where you're going to sit down and you're going to be like, I feel ready, without actually taking the steps at the same time. So that's number two on this, right? So the work that we talked about last week was really about finding your coaches and your therapists and working through the stuff that you brought with you. But now we're talking about what are the action items that you can do to help reinforce the work that you're doing internally, because that's really important, because it's going to really help it happen faster and it's going to help it stick. So last week we dealt with one. This week we're going to deal with two. So there's a few reasons, there's quite a few reasons, but I picked the ones that resonated the most with me. You know, in your own internal work, you may find other reasons, but these are the ones that resonate the most with me and what action items you can take to combat them. Okay, so the first reason why we have trouble charging our worth is that we're not specific enough about what it is that we're charging for in the first place, right? So when someone asked me the other day what I thought was a fair price for her services, she said, so I'm putting together my packages and she's been working with me, you know, I've worked with her for a while. And she said, what should I do with should I charge my services? What's a fair price? And I said, I don't know. I don't know what you do, right? I need you to, if you want to tell me that you want your packages you want to know what to charge your packages, you first have to know what's in them. We can't just start with here, right? Now, she assumed I knew what she was doing, and I do, but I have no idea, like, you know, what that is. I know that it's priceless to me, but that's not really, that's not really a number, right? So this is a really important thing to consider, is that if you're not being specific about what it is that you do, then you're going to automatically undervalue what you do because of what we talked about last week. Whereas the person that you're helping, if they actually know the value you provide, will be overvalued. Like, they will know the value that you offer because they know what you're doing for them, right? So that's really important, is recognizing what you're doing for the other person. But you're not going to know that unless you actually write down what those things are. So you have to write those down. Now, if you're sitting here and you're trying to figure that out in your head, like you're like, you know, sitting down on the couch and like, okay, I'm going to do this and maybe back of the napkin math, then to be honest, you're really never going to know. You're always going to struggle. You'll dismiss things that you do out of hand. Like, there'll be things that you do on a day-to-day basis that you don't take up a lot of your time, or you don't really think about it, or I was doing it anyway, that you don't actually include. You also probably don't include things like the ramp up time, ramp down time, or or the value of experience, which we'll come to after this, right? You also probably have no full understanding of the scope of the things that you do, because the way that our businesses are structured, there's a lot of overlap between the personal and the business. And so sometimes it's really hard to see where that line is and what goes into the actual, document, the actual package that you're creating. So what I want to recommend that you do is one, there's a book called Skills, The Common Denominator. I want to recommend that you get that book. It's super, super good. You can find it on our Amazon shop, but also you could check out in the social strategy squad. You can get there from manessa.com/squad. There's a pinned post at the very top that has a list of like all of the things that you do as a business owner. And what's really cool about that is that it's a list of like everything. So you can just pick and choose. LaFern, one of our long-time OG community members, actually used it to build her resume, which looks freaking amazing, by the way. Nice job, LaFern. So I would recommend checking that out, because you probably do not know all of the things that you do for your business. Or if you are providing a service to someone else and you're trying to figure out what that package is, you may not necessarily be thinking about all of the things that you're doing and what it actually entails. Now, when we think about sitting down, right, and figuring out what your packages are, if you don't make this list, right, and you don't have, okay, these are the things I'm going to do, there's not going to be any sort of organizational structure in your own mind, right? So now you're sitting here, and when I'm talking to you about whatever it is that you offer, you're going to feel uncomfortable and you're going to feel unsure and you're not going to know what to say, and it's going to make you feel more anxious. The purpose of writing these package documents is really less about what you're going to hand over to your customer or your client, and more for you to build a solid layer underneath yourself that says, this is what I charge and this is what I charge it for. The reason why we find it so hard is because for the most part, money makes us uncomfortable. So we try to just skirt over it like super quickly. Okay, this is what I'm going to charge. Phew, packages are done. Be done with it. And if you don't know that you're bringing these money mindset issues with you into your package creation, then what you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up undercharging because you simply don't want to deal with it. Okay, so that's just something really important to consider. Now, for me, the way this came up for me was that I realized I was always feeling anxious about whenever people asked me about things. And I realized it was because I didn't know myself what my structure was, why I picked what I picked. Like, I knew it, I'd figured it out, but I didn't have it like written down as like almost like a codified thing that sort of like explained what I offer, right? So when I first started in business years and years ago, I had no idea how to decide what to charge people because I was just so anxious about simply saying the words because I didn't know how to back it up. When you start to write this list, whatever it is, and I recommend writing it in a resume format or just like a list format, but I also, for me, I have it in a narrative format that's kind of like a story that just says, this is what I do and this is what I offer. That kind of just sort of like helps me tell the story of myself. It's the story of my business. It's very helpful because then when you go to talk to someone, you already know that you have this foundation beneath you, so you feel more comfortable talking about it. Because if somebody challenges you at that point, then you're like, well, here's my booklet about why I charge what I charge, and I know what I'm worth, right? So you have that behind you. But I think for a lot of us, we want to have that confidence and that surety without having done that work behind the scenes to like really understand what it is that we're charging for and why we're charging for it, because of our issues with money. That's why you have to deal with the mindset stuff first before you're going to be able to put together really good packages. Because if you sit down to write a package and you've got this mindset shift stuff going on, you're just going to skim over it and bam, done. Like, you will not pay attention to it and you will undercharge yourself just because you don't want to deal with it. Okay. So that is why being specific is really critical. The next thing is, and this is actually really common, really, really common, especially among my audience. So for me, for sure. Oh my God. And if you're listening to me, I guarantee you feel this way too, is we consider our experience irrelevant. Now, if I was to ask you right now, hey, how relevant is your experience? You would say, oh yeah, no, totally relevant. Absolutely. But when it comes down to figuring out what you charge or the hours that you work, probably not. My guess is that you tend to be as conservative as possible, right? You're like, well, you know, I could do this in 2 hours, or I could do it. You try to like hem and haw and be like, okay, this is how long it would take me to do. Now, never mind the fact that the reason why it takes you an hour and it would take someone else like 4 hours is because you have all these years of experience. So the only reason why someone is not paying 10 times the amount that they're already paying is because you have all this experience, right? Why should your experience be a hindrance for your salary or a hindrance for your income or a hindrance for how you set your packages, right? So we discount that, and we discount the blood, sweat, and tears and the work that went into becoming an expert so that someone can do something like pick up the phone and call you and just ask the question. For so many of us, we underestimate that. And you really have to think about this. If somebody really wants this information, they're basically saying, I know that you spent all of this time learning this, but I would like you to spend your time with me now doing it for free or for less. That tells them that the value is low because you're valuing yourself low automatically. Okay. Now, I know a lot of coaches, and this is actually where this started, who charge $50 an hour. And I think that is just absolutely unacceptable. Like, absolutely. If you are a coach, the minimum I think you should be charging is $125 an hour, like absolute minimum. And I actually think that's low, but that's where I recommend starting. Now, for me, when I first started, $125 was where I started, but I know that there's people who I've been talking to who would say $50 or $75, and I have coaches who are charging $50, and that is no, right? So here's the thing that I want to say is that if you feel like you're in a psychological position and you haven't worked through the number one issue first, the one where you're working through the internal stuff first, so you're not comfortable charging $125 an hour, then fine, charge $50. But have the printed price be $125. There's a strategy towards how you actually price your packages and sell it for what you're comfortable selling it for, right? Now, I frankly think that if you can put because that's for me, that's the gateway. If once you get that number there, after a few weeks, you will feel much more comfortable just charging the $125. But sometimes we need a ramp. Sometimes it's not easy to go from I'm charging $50 to I'm charging $125. Sometimes you need a ramp. But if you have trouble with this, I want to recommend, again, checking out the Social Strategy Squad, where we actually had a great conversation yesterday about how exactly to strategically price your services as you're kind of like getting comfortable with raising your prices, which, by the way, as you grow and get more experience, you want to be raising your prices. Now, most people come to me asking me how to find more clients. That's almost our clients or customers. So now I keep saying clients, but it's clients or customers as well. Because the fact of the matter is a lot of people, boutiques and companies who sell products will also really keep their product price at the bare minimum because they're not considering the value of the product that they're selling, not just in terms of like its tactical value in terms of this product is made out of cloth and it's sold, but also the value to the person who's getting it, right? I was actually just thinking the other day of a blanket that I bought from Sarah Swanson, who, oh my God, Sarah's a great story, who when she first started was selling her crafts for half the price. And you may have heard this story before where I challenged her in one of our coaching calls, our group coaching calls in the squad, to charge double. Whatever she was going to charge for the next thing, just charge double. Just say it. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? People are going to say no. She charged double, and not only did she make double, that was the turning point in her business. From then on, we actually were talking on Marco yesterday, and she was telling me how she's booked up till the end of the year. And the reason why is I have one of her blankets and it is amazing and it's fabulous quality and it's heavy and it's weighted and it's wonderful and I love it and it's on my bed right now because it provides me with the comfort that I need and it is well worth what I paid for it. It's worth more than what I paid for it. But we don't think about it that way. We think, oh my God, it's just a blanket and the yarn and so I'm going to charge something ridiculously low. So this applies to whether you're a crafter, whether you sell products that you buy and resell, like a boutique owner from a wholesaler and then you buy and resell, or if you're a coach. You bring your mindset issues into how you charge and that makes you automatically charge less. But imagine if you could bring in the same amount of customers and charge more. Karen, I was talking to Karen the other day too, and her prices were very low when I started working with her in the boutique marketing studio. She's amazing. But her work demands more money. Her quality is incredible, but she was undercharging. So when we started, she wanted more clients and I said, no, you need to charge more. And so now she raised her prices, but she's still booked up completely and is able to hire more people and grow her business because people now understand the value of what it is that she provides. But on this end, we don't see that. We just see, oh, well, it's just taking me this time or it's just taking me this time. And sometimes some of those things that we're doing are things that we find really annoying to do. So we're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. And listen, here's the thing. The more annoying it is, the more you need to be charging for it. Because if it's annoying for you, imagine how annoying it is for someone who doesn't know how to do it, who is trying to figure it out for themselves, right? That's the important thing to think about. The more annoying or mundane a task is, the less likely it is that someone else who is trying to do it on their own, who doesn't have your expertise, is going to know about it. So they're more likely to miss things, which means they're going to have to go back and fix it and fix it and fix it and fix it over and over and over again. Or it's going to take longer and longer for them to recover or see the results that you promised you're going to give them. So the key here is to make sure that you are marketing, that you are paying attention to what experience you bring to the table and charging yourself, and charging for that as well. I completely lost my train of thought. Like I totally went on a ADHD tangent in there and I have no idea why. It happened when I started talking about Karen because I just started thinking about all of our conversations and I just completely lost it. So we're going to do a brief cut here. I'm just going to go look at the comments and see where we're at. We're going to do a brief cut. Goodness. All right. Hi, Bob. Vanessa's Misfits. Oh my God. I love that. I love that. Okay. Fabulous. Fabulous. Okay. Speaking. Oh, and you have lovely. Hey, Amy. Hey, everybody. Okay. Great. Fabulous. So good to see you. How you doing, Amy? By the way, guys, Amy Crean is my money mindset coach. She is here. I recommend her wholeheartedly. Inspired Bravery. She changed my life. And it's because of her that she put me on the track that helped me to actually get to where I am right now. We started meeting last year, right? And she's also a squad member and a mentor in the squad. So all of these things are amazing. Okay. All right, let's go back. I lost it after Karen Holcomb. We're going to figure out, Laura, can you figure out how to edit that? Cause I'm not going to start with Karen again. It was great though. It was Karen was great. I'm just gonna say Karen's amazing. You should go check it out. Okay. Boutique Marketing Studio. And also get a blanket from Sarah. It's amazing. Seriously, I love it's like a weighted blanket. And I mean, it is a blanket, but it's so good. I specifically asked her for the weighted one. Okay. Told Sarah's story. Okay. All right. It was the third thing we're at now. One specific, two. Yep. The third thing. Okay. All right. Oh, I'm suddenly hungry. Okay. All right. Now, the third reason why we struggle with charging our worth is that we don't know the market and we don't know how to bleh. Now, the third thing, bleh, 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 bleh. Now, the third reason for fuck's sake. Okay. Now, I'm going to do this now. Shit. Okay. Now, the third reason why we struggle with charging our worth, or why we undercharge, is because we don't know the market and we don't know how to ask questions or what questions to ask. And now this part is a little tough because it's a couple of things. Now, the first is that we assume that we should already know how to price our packages. Like, because you call yourself a business owner, it's as if just calling yourself that just brings in some intuitive pricing knowledge. So you should know how to do that. And, or it's, if I'm an expert in my business, then I should know what it costs. And it doesn't. That's not really how that works. Because the truth is, because it's your business, you really don't know what it costs, because you'll know what it costs in terms of like the price, what it costs you to do in terms of your hourly rate. But in terms of like what the value is on the other side, it's going to be really, really hard for you to do without having doing market research or getting some assistance. Or it's very challenging to figure out on your own. So, but if you don't know that, right? If you don't know that that you're not supposed to know how to price your packages or your products simply because you're a business owner, then you're going to feel like there's something wrong with you because you struggle when you sit down to do your prices, right? So now you think there's something wrong with you, which means if there's something wrong with you, you're not going to want to ask anyone, and you're not even sure what would I ask, right? So that I don't sound stupid. These are the things that go through our minds. I don't think that anybody's stupid for asking those questions, but we have to be realistic about what our inner voices are telling us during that time, right? There's also the fear that if you ask questions, you'll look foolish, because none of us want to look foolish, because let's face it, we are all misfits, which means most of us have felt significant rejection in our lives at some way, shape, or form, some stage, and it impacted us in a big way. And so if we look foolish, we will be rejected by the community, and that's a big deal for us, right? So I used to struggle with my self-esteem a lot when it came to asking questions, because I thought it would demonstrate that I was a loser, that I didn't know anything about anything at all. Like the fact that asking a question about one thing would mean that it negates everything else I know. I didn't have a very healthy relationship with asking questions because I have ADHD, and as a kid, I was always made to feel foolish for asking them. So I just learned not to ask them, right? Now, that all changed when I started working at the hospitals, because I knew these brilliant scientists, so many of them, they cure cancer, they come up with shit like you wouldn't even believe. They're looking in microscopes and changing people's lives, like extending, it's crazy, doing heart surgery, brain surgery, you name it, right? These are brilliant, brilliant people who can't manage a checkbook, right? They can't keep their calendars straight. And it made me realize that the more you specialize in something, the more time you spend becoming an expert in something, the less time you have to actually know all the other things, because your brain power is really focused on this one thing, right? So if you're someone who wants to continue to sell the products that you sell, get more money for what you sell, you're going to become a specialist in whatever your product is. You're a specialist in boutiques. You're a specialist in boho clothing. You're a specialist in, dressing 80s. You're a specialist in helping widows work through the years after losing a spouse. You're a specialist in money mindset. Whatever your specialty is, you're a specialist in making crafts or the product that you sell. Whatever it is, like, that product and the value, and over time, you are going to continue to get more and more expertise at it. But when many of us start our businesses, we spend more time dealing with the administrative and social media shit than we do dealing with the stuff that we actually got into our business for in the first place. And as a result, it makes us feel uncomfortable about charging prices because we're not spending enough time in that space, right? So it's not a deficit in you that you are not able to figure these things out on your own. What it really is that you are working on becoming a specialist in one area, and so it is necessitating you taking your brain away from doing other things. And that's how it is, right? And that's why a lot of times we lean on coaches and their communities and delegating and outsourcing and community members and things like that, because while we are diving deeper into whatever area it is that we're in, we are finding ways to support ourselves in the spaces that we're having to take our attention away from. And it's very challenging if you feel like you're supposed to be an expert at doing all of those things when your passion is lying in the space where your business is. And that conflict can create a lot of tension in a variety of different ways. Just as I was saying it, I didn't actually articulate it like this when I was first writing it out, but as I'm saying it, I can see how this is really the source of a lot of tensions, I think, in our lives as we are running businesses. But specifically, it does have a huge impact on how you value your services and products and how comfortable you are marketing them for those prices when you're talking to people face to face. Now, if you have issues, just want to pull back a bit because I talked about being a specialist and being an expert. If you have issues with calling yourself an expert or a specialist, as I know a lot of people do, I'm going to send you back over to part 1, which is episode 33 of the podcast, where we talk about that. Now, in order to solve this particular problem about money, you need to have more conversations about money with people you trust in your industry. You need to talk to your colleagues about the money you're making. So like a lot of the people in my community are either business owners or they're business owners as a side hustle and then have a job as well. And like a job that pays them a regular salary. And one of the things that they run into there is, what should I charge for that service that I'm offering? Or if somebody wants to pay me for an hourly rate, what do I charge? Right. And that goes back to all of the things that we've discussed so far. But you need to be having more conversations with people who do the same thing that you do. So like if you're somebody who's trying to figure out how to price your boutique, your clothes and your shoes and your handbags, you need to be in the boutique hub. If you're somebody who wants to be a VA and you're building your VA business, then you want to be in the support squad with Sharon Nissen. Like there are places that you want to be depending on what it is that your specialty is, so that you're talking to people who are speaking your same language, providing similar services, and really getting like a lay of what the land looks like. Not so much for comparing, but just to make sure that you haven't missed anything in terms of because why rethink something that people have already thought? Like the collective mind is so much better in things like this, right? So getting into those groups is really helpful. You can use those spaces to get feedback about your services, your offerings, and what you may not be considering, and it'll be more robust. Now, we have to get comfortable with talking about money with each other before we're going to be confident talking about it with customers. It's not going to be something where you feel confident talking, you're uncomfortable talking about money right now, and suddenly you're confident talking to your customers about money. Like the comfort comes from desensitization, from repetition, right? So one of the things that we do in the squad is we talk about things that would traditionally make people uncomfortable, because we need to make those a regular part of our vernacular so that we can do them just without thinking about it. Because otherwise, when you're talking to somebody about your products or your services, you're trying to overcome your discomfort at the exact same time as you're trying to make sure that you have a strong foundation for your prices. And at the same time, you're trying to tell them your prices, and your brain's just trying to do so many things. And guess what happens? Word vomit, or just, silence, right? Oh my God, I don't want to talk about anything. Stop talking to me, right? Figuring out what to charge really does seem like a simple thing on the surface. It so does. When you have the item on your to-do list, figure out your packages, right? It's like, oh yeah, totally, I'll do that on a Tuesday. I remember when I had that on my to-do list, and I sit down, list it out, and then I'd be done. Oh, my naivete, right? But I couldn't figure out. It kept moving in, and I couldn't figure out why it was so hard for me. Why did it take so long? Because it should be so straightforward, right? Hear the shoulding? Okay, so here's the thing about the shoulding. That's the whole point, right? Why did I think it should be so straightforward? Instead of automatically assuming that there was something wrong with me and challenging myself, right? Instead, I challenged the idea. I rejected the idea that it should be straightforward and it should be easy, right? Should it be straightforward? Really? Should it? Right? And when I break it down, the answer is not for me and not for anyone who hasn't done this kind of work, right? So eventually I hired a coach to guide me. She's amazing. Rebecca Tracy. She just got married. Yay. Congratulations. Because the truth is it sucks to do it alone. And I did need the help, and she had a great technique, and it worked really well for me. And it's a lot easier when you have someone who knows the way guiding you than you trying to figure out. There's no prize for figuring it out on your own. There really isn't. Like the prize is if you figure it out faster, you make more money. So how can you figure it out faster, right? You can go into some of these groups. For a lot of us, if we do not want to go into these groups, right, and it's really about, I got to figure it out myself, then that's more of a pride thing, right? So the question then becomes, right, and it's like the pride and all of these things that we dealt with, right, that we were just talking about. So the key there, I don't like that I said that. Let's go back. Blech. I got caught up. I hate it when I do that. I forgot where I got myself. Okay. The idea should be straightforward. It should be straightforward. I want to break down something, not for anybody who hasn't done this work, right? Eventually I hired a coach. Some of the guys do it. Okay, wait. Okay, we'll just stop there. Okay, we'll figure out how to edit that out. Okay. But that was really good. I was going somewhere because it's not a pride thing, because it's a psychological thing. That's what it is, because it's a psychological thing. Okay, I don't know why I felt the need to close that loop, but great. I haven't met everyone who listens to this podcast, but I know that you have already lost thousands of dollars because of the fact that you're undercharging. And so have your colleagues, and so have your friends, and so have people who own businesses in your sphere. So I want to recommend that. So you've had a chance to listen to this podcast. I want you to pick one of these things. I want you to find a group that works for you in your industry, whatever it is, and get in there and just start hanging out. Just read some of the old posts. I guarantee from the moment you get in there, you'll start to feel more comfortable, and you'll start to have more access to information that'll help you create packages that actually will allow you to charge what you're worth. Right now, if you don't want to go looking for anything, then of course, as always, you can join us at manessa.com/squad. Now, something to keep in mind is we have a lot of really exciting things coming up over the next couple of weeks. I'm starting my Patreon. I'm going to be streaming more. We have a lot more stuff coming on our social media. The team Manessa Inc. is really, really coming together, and we are so excited because everyone on this team is committed to helping business owners find joy in their lives by not shitting all over themselves anymore, so that they feel confident running the businesses their way without fear, without shame, without guilt. No, I fucked that up. Fuck, God, I am totally doing this today. All right, hold on, we're going to do this again, right? We're going to go with, thank you so much for joining me on the Stop Shitting All Over Yourself podcast. Oh, I know, we have so many amazing things coming. Team Manessa Inc. has been working their butts off, and so check out our Instagram at Manessa.Konecki. Check out Facebook at Manessa.Konecki. Also, check out the website at Manessa.com. Oh my God, it is amazing. Sierra Lynn has done a fabulous, fabulous job. The team is really coming together, and so we're really excited to be bringing you more and more stuff that's going to help you stop shitting all over yourself. So let's get this in as many feeds as possible so all of us can move forward without the shame, without the guilt. All right, I will see you next week, same bad time, same bad channel, where we will continue this conversation, and we will talk about self-promotion is not a bad word, because once you have figured out how to charge, the next thing becomes overcoming that moment when you are actually selling your product and you're like, oh. Right? We're going to be talking about that. All right. I'll see you next week. Whoa. I was all over the fucking place this week. Oh my God. I have a whole package on how to figure out your package. Oh my God. That's amazing. I love that so much. I love that. All right, guys. How do we do? How do we feel? So we've got a lot of crew in here. I didn't see Sophia, and I was hoping I would. I mean, I know she'll watch the replay. She has all that stuff going on. Because she had a question last week that I talked about. Alrighty, let me see. Manessa's Misfits. I really like that. I like Manessa's. I actually, if you check out the Patreon, I don't think my Patreon's active yet. Hold on. I think it might be. It's not real. Do not sign up for my Patreon right now. Please do not. But, I'll let you know when you can. I mean, you can, but it's going to change. I want to see if it's live. I don't even know what it is. I think I might have gotten Patreon/Manessa, which is like really freaking cool. Finish page. Yeah, no, my page isn't finished yet, so it's not public, which is great. I'm glad, because I don't want it to be public yet. It's not ready. But yeah, so what I'm going to be doing more is, Dee, so what I want to do is, part of the Patreon thing is going to be, one section is actually going to be all of the behind the scenes stuff. So what I want to do is I'm going to bring all this stuff into, like, because a lot of business owners just want to see how it's done so they can follow along and be like, oh, okay, this is how you do it. Okay, I get it now. They just need somebody to sit and show them. And so I'm going to have those kinds of videos, like, this is how you do this is how you do that, like quick videos like that, because I think that is one of the things that people need more is, and so there's going to be a level in Patreon that just gives you that level of access to where it's like, I will just give you all the things. I will tell you my, you can see my, I'll give you my, if you want to see my first document, I'll share that with you, that kind of thing. Okay. Alrighty. So, oh wow. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Breathe. I know, right? I breathe. Today was just a day. Amy, so that's so Amy says she has a package for how to figure out your package. So if you were a coach, that's actually amazing, because I would recommend Amy will just, by the time you're done, she'll have that for you. if you're somebody who is selling products, what I would really recommend is thinking about, like, first of all, make sure that you're making your bare minimum back for what it is that you're putting out there. So in terms of all of your investments, whatever that is. And it's really important that you consider the time in that. A lot of people do not consider time. And a lot of and what a lot of people also don't consider is indirect rates. So this is something that is that, like, so for everything that you do, there's like, you're taking up paper and this and that and the other thing that, that or time or energy that you can't really do, say, okay, I can assign it to this particular product or that particular product. But it's effort, it's time, and it costs you money. Okay, it costs you money. And a lot of people don't add that surplus. Like, they just kind of build it into whatever the profit is, because they're like, okay, this is my dollar amount, and then this is what I'm going to charge, and this becomes my profit. You need to build in that the indirect overhead costs into your entire system, so that whatever profit you're getting in is profit on that, right? Your profit shouldn't be used to pay an expense unless you know that, right? Like, because then you think your profit margin should be higher than it actually is. So for products, that's what I would recommend. But more importantly, I would actually recommend going into the specialty groups that we talked about, because they are going to have really specific information on how to price your specific products with your specific market. Like, the Hub yesterday had a really great training about that, about inflation and economics. And so they'll be able to really help in your industry. And one of the key things to keep in mind is, like, right now, a lot of business owners spend a lot of their time in spaces like this one, right? So, or like this one, and also, let's say, like the Social Strategy Squad and other groups that are related to marketing, social media, that kind of thing. They're related to the aspects of the mechanics of their business, but not a lot of times in groups related to the expertise of their business, right? So, like, if, for example, I am a intimacy coach, right, then I'm going to want to be in a group with a lot of other coaches who are helping people at that level, right? Whether it's intimacy, whether it's whatever, any kind of intimacy, relationships, right, that kind of thing. That's where I would want to be, because that's the area we're going to learn, see what different people are doing, learn about other things, that kind of thing. When I was starting out in business, I was in way more groups for my marketing and my business side than I was for the becoming an expert in your business. And that's when I realized that something was off. So you want to really be doing more stuff in the space that is for whatever it is that you've chosen, right? Whatever it is that your area of expertise is, that's where you want to be spending more of your time. You really only want to have a couple of people that you're using as your business coaches and that kind of thing to be able to, like, be spending your time in those spaces, because otherwise you're going to end up spending more time becoming an expert in the mechanics of doing a business than you are going to be spending in actually doing the business that you signed up for in the first place. And that's where a lot of dissatisfaction can start, is where you're just like, oh my God, like, I didn't sign up for this. Like, why am I constantly dealing with social media when all I really want to do is crochet, right? Okay, let's see. Hi, Sarah. Oh my God. For things made standard is 3 times. Okay, so Sarah, love that. Okay, so for things made standard, it's 3 times the product used to make. So Sarah, can I ask you a question? I'm really curious, because I talked about you earlier in the podcast. When you were charging less, right? Were you charging 3 times the material, or were you, like, how did you decide that? Because I'm curious to know, like, when you doubled your prices, did you double your prices based off of the 3 times, then times 2? Or did I say, listen, do double, and then after that you went and did research and you're like, no, Vanessa, it's not do double, it's do triple, right? Like, and if that's the case, tell me, because I want to know that, because that's really cool. But that's what I'm curious about in terms of that. I know it's me, not Mina. Oh, her lips don't match the audio. Oh, so Cindy, if that happens, usually I'll refresh and that will help. If other people were not having that problem, you see, it's lag. Okay. So, all right. So you know what I think it is? Here's my guess. It's been very stormy here. That's going to be my guess. Alex had a little bit of lag in his game yesterday. So this could be me. It may not be you, but I don't quite know how to fix it. It also could be that there's a lot of other, like, my technology didn't work exactly the way I had hoped it would today. So it might be that. I'm hoping on the replay it's fixed, but if not, then we'll sort that out. Okay. All right. This is how we should be thinking about my husband managing the ranch. He's working as an independent, so he charges them for his services, not what his employer thinks she should be paying him and how much. Exactly. You do not want her to be telling you, like, 'cause here's the thing. They don't know what it's worth, right? So, like, I'm going to give you an example that we talked about the other day, right? So, like, let's say, for example, By the way, this is some really good coaching shit. So you really should share this with like everybody that you know who runs a business. Like this is like legit free coaching shit. And it's amazing. I'm loving it. I'm going to do it because I think it's awesome. And we're talking about money. And I just really want people to charge their worth. Like this is, I know this is ironic. This is so ironic that I am doing a free training here on how to charge your worth. But it's too important of an idea. It's just too important. That's honestly, that's how I feel about it. It's too important for me to actually like care about that right now. So, but just share this with people. So Dawn, so let's say, for example, I'm going to give you just a completely unrelated example. There's a social media manager, let's say, okay, we're going to say social media manager, and the social media manager says, I tell that I would never do this. I would never do this. Okay. She says, I say $45 a week. I'll pay you for 5 posts and engaging on all my stuff. Okay. I tell her that's what I'm going to pay her because I don't want to spend my hard-earned profit. So what's the least amount that I can give her, right? That she will do this work for me. Right. And because I am in this story, I don't know the value. I don't know the worth. I don't know how to price it. I just know that I don't want to spend a lot of money. And so that's what I'm willing to spend. Great. Okay. So now I'm going to tell her that that's $45, right? So for a week. Okay. So she's going to be like, okay, sure. Because she has no idea how to price herself. So she's going to take that 45, let's say 50, because I don't know, that's easier math. So that's $200 a month. Okay. For that amount of work, by the way, that is not a fair price at all. Like absolutely not. So she now thinks that that's what she should be charging. So when she goes to the next person who says, be my social media manager, this person is going to say, she'll say, okay, I'm $45 an hour. That person will be like, God, that's great, right? $45 an hour. She can do $45 an hour. Okay. So now that second person, okay. Well, so with that second person that you talk to, who now thinks that social media prices are worth $45 an hour. Okay. Now let's pretend we have me, a new person, Dawn. Dawn is a brand new social media manager. Congratulations, Dawn. Okay. We're making this up. And Dawn is excited because she is like, I'm going to charge $250. Like she hasn't done any of this money mindset work, but she's just like, this is what I think it is. I'm going to charge $250 a week, right? So let's make sense. I'm going to charge, $150 a week, right? For that. And that's $600, right? And still low, but let's just go with that because that's easier math, right? $600. And she goes to this person and says, okay, I charge $600. And this person says, well, I only will pay $200. Now Dawn is like, oh my God. So she's been rejected. So now she's going to undercharge because someone else made her feel bad. Okay. So that's how this cycle happens because one person undercharged, it bleeds out into the world. Okay. That's one. 2 is that now I said, that's all I'm willing to pay. Okay, that's all I'm willing to pay. And so we're going back to that original conversation, right? The original conversation where you say, I don't know what it's worth, and I'm saying this is what I'm willing to pay. In order for you to make your, and now you look at the amount of work that you're doing, right? And the time that it takes, $45 a week, honestly, is going to end up being like less than minimum wage. It's like really, really low. It's not, and the emotional aggravation is like, it's a lot. You end up not making a lot of money at all, right? So it's not only is it not fair, but she doesn't understand the value of the product that she's offering, right? Because here's the thing that I know as a business owner. Now, I knew it then too, but I know it now. I can articulate it really well now. Is that if I don't hire you to do it, I have to do it. If I have to do it, what's that worth to me? You've seen how I've been feeling over the last, all I'm doing now is the thing that I got into business to do, which is help you. That's it. That's all I'm doing now. And that's all I think about now. And it's amazing. I don't have to do any of the admin work because I've hired a staff to do that. Not everybody can hire a staff. I get that. But I got to this point, right? Because I really started to focus on the things that I wanted to do. And so now I can charge people a lot of money to pay me. Then I can pay people a lot of money to do the work for me that I don't want to do. So what are she helping me do? Because now let's say you're like, no, I'm not doing it for 45. I'll do it for 600. And I'm like, fuck that shit. I'm not giving you that much money because I don't know the value, right? So I do it myself. I am going to spend months trying to learn this, figure out social media, write my posts, whatnot. And all that time, I'm not doing anything else. I'm losing customers. I'm losing clients, right? There is a lot of unspoken value to the work that we do. And a person who doesn't have any experience in that area, think about this, right? The other thing to think about is, and doesn't know the market, the other thing to think about is like, if you as the expert don't know what to charge, how do you expect someone who doesn't know shit to know what they should be paying you? That's the other thing, right? Don't automatically assume that because somebody knows what's happening up at this level, that they know what should be happening down here. Okay, absolutely. All right. Lag. Okay. I'm so proud of you, Dee, joining a lot of groups with leaders, leader groups. Exactly. If you want to be a leader, join groups for leaders. If you want to be, a tennis coach, join group for tennis coach. Join groups about tennis, right? If you want to be a crafter, join groups about crafting. Don't join groups about social media to become an expert in crafting or to make more money as being a crafter. The only thing the only thing the squad can actually help you do, right, is reinforce your business, make it stronger, make it healthier, help you generate more income out of it. But you yourself, right, you need to be spending time in the part that makes you an expert, because that's the part that people pay for, right? Earlier we talked about the experience, right? You get that experience by simply spending time in your space. If you don't spend time in your space, you're not going to be an expert. You're not going to feel like an expert. And the less you feel like an expert, the less you're going to want to charge, which makes this a cycle, right? So it continues to perpetuate itself. Alrighty. Okay. It's 4 times the cost for candles. This is great. By the way, Dawn, can we grab all this? Can you grab all this and put this in a post in the squad? Like, this is amazing stuff. Okay. All right. So the actual number, so it's not 2, it's 3. Perfect. So so before you were doing it based off of your feelings. Okay. I'm sorry. We're only laughing now because you and I are very close, and you know that I'm laughing with love. But that's how we price ourselves. And I'm so glad. Thank you so much for being so honest about that, because that's how a lot of us price ourselves. Like, this is how I'm feeling right now. And it's like, dude, I don't give a fuck about your feelings. Let's make some money. Right? Like, so that's like, absolutely. Oh my God, I fucking love that so much. You're like, it was my feelings. Oh my God, you're the best. You are the best. I use 4 times sometimes as well. Nice. I love it. Okay. That's why I was curious. So Dawn, if you could grab this aggregate, like, I think this would be a great post to have in the squad somewhere. And we got to figure out what to do with these posts in this. Yes, this is going to be, Laura is going to have a field day. Oh my God. When they get this, they're going to lose their freaking mind. Oh my God. Totally charge way more for blankets than I do washcloths. Absolutely. And you know what? And when you charge me for my blanket, you know you undercharge me. I mean, I think I was the second or third blanket. Like, I got in pretty early. I'm lucky. I got in early, guys. Okay. Yes, feeling guilty to charge more because this isn't person charging enough. Exactly, right? So, like, that's the other thing. Oh my God, Sarah, that's a really great one, right? So, like, let's say I'm like, you come to me and let's go back. I can give you me as an example a lot easier because I know how I was feeling in the moment, and I don't want to put feelings into other people's. Like, I've worked with my clients, obviously, but I know what I'm feeling in the moment. So I'm just going to share that. So, like, if, this, oh my God, you're just talking about my biggest fear right now, Sarah. Like, my biggest fear is like, well, not anymore, but what the fuck? Sorry, there's something in my hair. Like, I don't know what it is. I feel like it's like some sort of tree branch. Okay. So, what the fuck? We have this tree that, like, dusts off its skin cells. It's just awful. Trees don't have skin cells, do they? It's bark. It dusts off its bark. See what I mean? I'm an expert in one thing. I'm not an expert in trees. I don't know why I was looking up at the ring light. What the fuck was I saying? Right. So, when I say my prices, and if somebody comes back and says, well, so-and-so charges this, right? Or I could get it for this. That's a big one. Now, my answer would be, okay, then get it from there. Well, my other actual answer would be, no, you can't. Like, I mean, as in, yeah, you could definitely get something for that price. Absolutely. But not what I'm promising you. Like, not what you're going to get with me. Or just because that person doesn't know their value doesn't mean that I don't. So you should go with them then, right? But it's hard for us to say that when you literally are fighting for every sale, right? Like, it's really hard. I know that. But the mindset comes first. And that's why we have to start doing some of this work and creating communities. Because, like, I remember when Sarah first raised her prices, what happened is we were in our coaching call and with the group, and everybody was like rallied around her, right? It was like, yeah, do it, right? And so there's a team behind you to help you do something scary. But it's like super hard if you're like, okay, I'm going to raise my prices, and you're sitting on an island by yourself, and then someone comes to you and is like, yeah, well, your prices suck. And you already put, like, literally it took everything that you had to put your price out there at what it was. And somebody came and undercut you, like, not undercut you price wise, but literally just like, wow, you suck, and cut it out from under you, right? If you have a group, a community around you that you're like, I did this and this happened, your community can help you to reframe that and help you to see that that's about that person's issues. And that means that that person wasn't your customer. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. This is a lesson I've learned a long time ago. If someone is going to give you shit about your prices like that, you probably don't want to be working with them anyway, because that's the kind of client they're going to be too. Right? It's not at the point where somebody says to me, I could get this for cheaper. Depending on how they share that information with me, right? And I don't think there's a good way of sharing that information, but let's pretend that there is a good way. I know that they're not the person I want to work with, because I know that they are not looking at the transformation. They're not looking at, they're going to be looking at every little thing and nitpicking every little thing. And the thing is I know that it takes time to get where you're going. I know the process and I know it works. I'm not here to prove to you that my process works every step of the way. So I've now priced myself so that I don't get people who are going to make me prove to them that my system works. It works. I've shown you it works. Yes, you might. And so the key for you is the same thing, is that if you have people who are going to give you shit about your prices, right? They're the ones who are going to send you the returns. This is wrong. I didn't like this, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know what? Sometimes I've gotten leggings that weren't the exact color that I said that they were going to be. Okay, but you know what? They're comfortable and I like them. I'm going to wear them. I'm not going to give anybody a hard time about it, right? Sometimes I will, but I'm going to do it as a nice person. I'm like, oh, hey, I got this in the mail and I this wasn't what I ordered, right? But if I'm going to give you shit about your prices at the beginning, then I'm also going to be the person who's going to be mean to you when I want the refund. I'm going to be the person who's going to nitpick about every little thing, right? I'm the person who's going to probably cost you more time, energy, and effort. You'll get excited every time you see a sale from me initially, until you realize that it's going to be met with 13 returns and 100 store credits that you can't keep a track of, right? If you're a coach, then the person who nitpicks with you is going to be the person who constantly makes you prove your value. And the truth is, you should not have to prove your value to anyone. Nope, you do not have to prove your value to anyone. You do not have to prove your value to anyone. Okay. Katie said, what? We don't price based on feeling? Yes, no, the squad. Okay, so yeah, I want to come back to the squad. I didn't actually reframe what you get. Like, I didn't frame that correctly when I said the only thing you get in the squad. You actually get a fuck ton in the squad. But what I meant to say was that I can only help with the side that is not the... Because you're a leader coach, it's a little different, Didi, because I do that. It's very similar. But for many people who sell products and stuff, I can help you with all of the strategy. I can help you with all the mindset. I can help you with the mechanics and how to get people from one place to another. But the part that actually makes you the money, like after all of those steps are done, that you have to get from the groups with where they teach about the thing that you went into business for in the first place, your area of expertise. They have 50 years experience in ranching, just not the value of the work because they never paid themselves. There you go. They have no understanding of the work. And that tells me, because they've been ranching for 50 years, that tells me that they come with a mindset, right? Of this is just how it is. Like, you do what needs to be done. So I'm going to pay you this amount and you just do the work. Like, that's just sort of how it is, right? Because the employees, this is a really big thing. Employees do not advocate for themselves. I'm going to tell you right now, most people do not get paid what their value is at all. Like, they're getting paid less. And a lot of reason why they get paid less than what they should be is because most companies have rules about talking about your salary with your colleagues. And if you do that, I want to tell you right now, talk about your salary with your colleagues. You really should be talking about salary. Your company does not get to decide. You can't, I wouldn't talk like if you have an employee, don't talk to your employee, right? But lateral, right? Or your friends, like if there's somebody you feel comfortable talking with your salary about, talk about your salary. Because the only way to create equity is for people for there to be transparency and for people to know what people are getting paid. And the fact of the matter is the only place who wins when people don't talk about salaries is the people at the top. So it's really, really important that, and if he has this issue, right, then like and I know that you live in a very different part of America with different rules because you're in a ranch world and I don't understand that. I don't know that the way that I talk about these things is going to work for you or Bob exactly the way that I say it, but I'm hoping that for people for whom this doesn't affect it exactly the same way, it'll give you some threads to be like, there's some ideas that I want to follow, some threads I want to follow and see what happens, right? Because like this may just be the starting point of the conversation, and I really hope it is. Like, I really hope that this is the starting point, and that after this podcast is over, you go and find a whole bunch of people who know about money, because I don't know a lot about. I do not spend a lot of time in the money space because it makes me uncomfortable. But I'm doing this. I've figured out how to deal with my shit so that I can at least get that part done, right? And now I want to be able to share that with you, so that you can do it as well. Okay, when you practice saying your price out loud, it gets the guilt. Yes, that's really great practice. You want to feel the same way about saying your price as you do about saying pass the salt. Yes, that's really great. Oh my God. So Amy says, this is fabulous. I totally want this in our reels or something, is when you practice saying your price out loud, it gets easier to say and it takes the guilt and feeling out of it. You want to feel the same way about saying your price as you do about saying pass the salt. That's my business coach, Amy Crean, Inspired Bravery, changed my life. That's why, because she has nuggets like that. Okay, everybody's okay. If I raise my rates and people expect more from me, what if I fail? Absolutely. That's the inner voice. That's one of the things, is what if I fail, right? One of the things to keep in mind is that you're already doing the work. So I just want to like back up a little bit, right? When I say raise your prices, I just say raise your prices for what you're doing right now. That's it. Like, you can't fail at what you're already doing. You've already proven that you can do it. So what I would recommend when you have that, I would challenge yourself. Show me where you failed, right? Now, I know you do my email, so I know you haven't. So prove it, right? Great. Okay. Prove that you have failed doing what you're doing right now. Prove that to me and to yourself. You can't. Okay. So then the next thing becomes raise my prices for what I am offering now, right? You don't have to offer more. You've already proven the results, because the fact that you've proven the results is why you can raise your prices. You don't need to do anything different. The more evidence you have behind you of what you can offer, the higher you can raise your prices without changing a single thing, right? That's the key thing to keep in mind, is you don't have to add more shit. You can just add more money. But the key thing to keep in mind is that it's also about messaging. So like, that is something that I'd recommend bringing into the squad and like talking about the messaging and stuff like to office hours, so we can work through some of that stuff. Our inner voice does not know everything. Our inner voice is also usually a kid. Mine has grown up in the last 6 months. So Izzy is an adult now, but when we started, she was very young. Remember, your inner voice is a child, right? So your child is going to have all kinds of childlike things to say. Your childlike person is also going to say, I should have a pint of ice cream for dinner. Well, that's also a really bad idea. I know, I've suffered, especially if you're lactose intolerant. Alrighty. Not everyone is your customer, dude. Remember Sal, everybody? Oh my God. If you've been with me for a while, you know that Sal was one of the early people who said that no one was ever going to take me seriously because I had blue hair. And at the time I had blue hair and it was long and totally normal. It's like, Sal, dude, if people were going to take me seriously before, they're definitely not taking me seriously now. You know what? I think it's time. It's time to pull this out. Like, I feel like this is important, because if we're talking about not being taken seriously, we're just definitely not going to be taken seriously. There you go. Check it out. All right. I actually have, you should see, I have the cover photo that one day I'm going to finish has me wearing these horns. It's super nice. I'll share it with you. Just so you can see where it's at so far, but it's pretty cool. Nice, huh? Okay. So, all right. What do we have here? Okay. I could make it for cheaper. Good. Go ahead. But I'll see you in 6 months. That's exactly it. That's also it too. You know, it's probably a lot easier when you have hair for this. What I charge isn't necessarily for the product or hours I'm giving it. It's for the customer. Oh my God, dude. So good. So good there. You don't know how to value what you do because you don't understand what's the other side, right? Like, think about this. Okay. I got so much value out of my intimacy coach. Miss L, by the way, she rocks. Miss LX. You can find her on LX Erotica. She's on YouTube. She's amazing. Changed my fucking life, right? Oh my God, the transformation. I would pay her 10 times what I paid her. 10 times. I really have to focus entirely too much to keep this thing on my head. I literally was like focusing, like, don't move your head, Vanessa. Okay. Alrighty. You don't have to, you know what? Okay, so Dawn said something great. You don't have to prove your value to anyone. So this is something that I'm actually currently doing. Like actively. I can feel it happening. You know how sometimes you're like in a, like I see it, I try, visualizations help me. So like one of my visualizations is I'm walking forward and like things are just falling off of me, right? And I've shed the big ones, like the kettlebells that were attached to me. I've shed all the big ones. And now I feel like I'm shedding something else. And so I'm kind of shedding my skin. And the skin that I'm shedding right now is that I don't have to prove myself. There's two things that I'm doing a lot right now. The first is one is when I feel bad, like Katie, like you were saying earlier, what if I fail? Or like, you know, that when I get into that sort of headspace, I go back to the proof, right? I go back to the people who've said I've helped them. I go back to the money I've made in the past. I go back, Amy taught me this trick. Like, prove to your, like, what do you always tell yourself? I'm good at making money. I've gotten this far. Look at where you're at now. But here's the thing, guys, you've succeeded this far. Like when I say prove it, we're all right here, right? We've done it, right? So we don't need to prove anything to anyone. And I'm starting to get comfortable and it's a work in progress. So I'm not there yet, but like really like when I find myself in that space is just accept I don't have to prove myself. I don't have to prove myself. And you know what's funny is anyone who watches Stargate, Amy, Dawn, you're going to know what I'm talking about. There's this episode where they're destroying where Ryak has been caught by the Jaffa, and one of the Jaffa says, and then he says, oh no, Ryak didn't get captured. What was it? Teal'c got captured, and but Ryak is running around. His son is running around everywhere, and the guy goes, maybe he's someone to whom you wish to prove yourself. And when I'm ready to make a change in my life, a weird line from a show will start to just permeate my brain, and it will not go away randomly. And it always is a sign from my voice that there's something that I need to be working on. And that was the next thing I need to work on, was releasing the need to prove myself. It will free you. I want to invite you. It's hard, right? But that's one of my mantras. The other mantra for myself is, I love you, Manessa. I love you, Manessa. I love you, Manessa. Say that to yourself. Start saying I love you to yourself. You'll probably cry a few times. You'll probably cry a lot. And it's good. It's okay. It's good. It's okay, right? It releases a lot of endorphins. And oxytocin and oxytocin. Was it subspace? But that's really, really, that'll help enormously. Is those two mantras will really help to overcome. That's my brute force. When I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I don't have, like, I'm not sure what the tool is for it. I just do the mantra and the tool will eventually come. So start with the mantra. Oh, Sal. I know, right? Cell phone company has no problem raising their prices. And they'll just tell you, we're raising prices. That's it. They just announce it. That's it. Because they know you won't go anywhere else. And here's the thing. Trust in what you offer, because I promise you what you offer is unique and they can't get it anywhere else. That's why it's fine. Go somewhere else. I promise you're not going to get, like, here's the thing. If you think you can get it somewhere else, then that means we haven't made that connection, right? Like, because if we've made the connection, then you'll know you can't get it somewhere else. That's somebody just trying to get results, I think, for like cheap. Like, that's someone who just is like, I'm trying to get something. Like, there's something there. I need to workshop it in my brain a little bit first. People who take themselves too seriously are not my people. No, weirdos and misfits. That's us. Exactly. I'm the queen misfit. Yeah, I like that. This is, you know what? I do feel like this is, I think we're starting to get a vibe, guys. I do feel like we're starting to get a vibe right now. These are backwards. I'm starting to get a vibe. Like, I think we're creating a mood in Manessa Inc. right now. Like, I think my whole company, my whole life is coming together. Don't you think? Okay, I totally do. Oh, hi, Deb. Oh, my God. How is Paul? My sons can do that. Remember lines from show. They do not get... Oh, I know so many movies by heart. But what's interesting is that it's... For most of them, they're just things that I do consciously. But this is something that happens unconsciously. It's something that will come from the past that I haven't thought of in years. Randomly, arbitrarily. But it's something that I've once... And when I think about it now, I know that I was obsessed with that phrase back then too. I remember being obsessed with it. Like, I constantly, I would rewind that scene just because I loved that line delivery. And when I look back on my life now, it's so funny how I can see how my subconscious, and this is why I totally believe in some sort of cosmic something, is I can see where I remember when it happened. Like, it's almost like when you watch the movie and you go back and they show you what was really happening behind the scenes, like we just did a movie. I just saw a movie like that where it was great. And you're like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like that now they're showing like the truth of what happened, right? And while you're watching it on the surface, they're showing you all that stuff. And like if you'd been watching the background, you could already see what's happening, right? But like you weren't, and so you didn't notice. That's sort of like how I feel. Is I feel like I see where my subconscious was putting pins. And for you, it may be different. It might not be movie shows, but like our subconscious does a lot. And I feel like it just put pins being like, you're going to need this later. You're going to need this later. You're going to need this later. And very slowly, rando things. Like now that I've released like my trauma, my therapist said all kinds of things were going to come back. She was not joking. And it's not all bad. Like a lot of really good shit's coming back. Like it's amazing. Okay. Safety first, master. That is from, oh my God. Alton Brown, when he, it's something about using a mandolin, and he hands it to him. It's like his, oh my God, I'm totally all over that. I'm so ADHD today. Oh my God, I'm so ADHD today. I'm like going all over the place. All right. We have, I think, hit the end of our, Paul is good. Okay, that is so good to hear. So good to hear. Okay, so we have hit the end of today's podcast. I went a little bit long because I thought it was super important, and I wanted us to be able to answer everybody's questions and whatnot. But if you want to work through some of these things, come join us in the squad, Manessa.com/squad. I'm going to be back next week, and we're going to be talking about self-promotion not being a bad thing. It's not a bad word. Don't be too big for your britches is what our grandmothers used to tell us. We have all been conditioned to that. This is going to go directly to talk about stuff we had in episode 33. So we're going to be talking about that and like really getting comfortable with this idea of self-promotion. All right. So I'm going to see you guys next week. Same bad time.